You ever notice how everybody walks around with this smug little badge of honor saying, well, I'm just a normal person. Normal person. Normal. They say it like it's a title, like it's something to be proud of. Normal? You know what that really means? It means you've successfully managed to blend in with the herd without asking too many questions. It's like bragging about being beige. Nobody has ever walked into a room and said, oh, wow, look at that beige couch. That couch is amazing. No, beige is the safe color you pick when you don't want anyone to notice how boring you really are. That's what normal is. Normal is beige in human form. And the thing is, nobody really knows what the hell a normal actually means. Who decided it? Did someone have a big meeting one day and say, all right, everybody, we've gathered here today to decide once and for all what a normal human being should look like, act like, and think like? Did they take minutes? Was there a vote? Was there a tie? Did some guy stand up and say, excuse me, but I think it's normal to talk to squirrels, and everybody went, nah, sit down, Jerry, you're out of order. Who makes this stuff up? Nobody. It just happens, like mildew in the shower. You don't plan for it, you don't agree on it. It just creeps up one day, and now you've got it. And people hold on to that word like it's a life raft. They'll defend their version of a normal to the death. You tell somebody they're not normal, they'll flip out. Oh, what do you mean I'm not normal? I go to work, I pay my taxes, I cut my lawn, I watch Wheel of Fortune. What could be more normal than that? Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. You're bragging about routines that would bore a hamster. Congratulations, you've reached the thrilling middle of the bell curve. The myth of normality is this. People think there's some kind of universal human script. They think life is supposed to follow this perfect little checklist. First, you're born. Nobody had a choice in that one. Then you're supposed to toddle around, say mama, say dada. Draw a stick figure on construction paper and make everyone clap like you just painted the Sistine Chapel. Then you go to school, where your main job is to sit still, shut up, and memorize a bunch of trivia you'll never use again. Remember long division? Yeah, me neither. Then you're supposed to go to college, get a job, buy a car, buy a house, meet somebody, marry them, have kids, raise them, make sure they go to school, repeat the cycle, retire, move to Florida, and then die quietly while people say, he was a good, normal man. That's the script. That's the whole thing. And everybody claps like it's an accomplishment, like sticking to this invisible little checklist makes you some kind of champion of existence. But the truth is, it's just a script written by people who wanted you to stay predictable. And people wear it like a Halloween costume they forgot to take off. You can see it everywhere. People sitting in traffic, dead-eyed, inching along in their cars, listening to the same pop song they've heard 100 times. You know how they convince themselves this is a normal. Because everybody else is doing it too. That's the secret, that's all it takes. If you're alone screaming in your car, you're a lunatic. If you're surrounded by thousands of other people screaming in their cars, you're just commuting. See how that works? And in conversations, you hear it. Normal people have this whole language. They don't talk about ideas. They talk about weather. Always the weather. They'll stop you in the grocery store and say, hot enough for you? That's their big opener. That's the Shakespeare of the suburbs. Then when the seasons change, they recycle the same material. Boy, sure is chilly today. Oh, really? Is that what this is? I thought my nipples were standing at attention because they saw something exciting. No, it's cold out. Thank you for the meteorological update, normal person. Normal people love small talk because it's safe. It's predictable. It's like conversational training wheels. They'll never talk about death, sex, or money in any real way because those are too risky. Instead, they'll say things like, so, how's the job treating you? And you have to answer with something equally boring like, can't complain? You know what that phrase really means? It means I could complain, but that would make me abnormal, and then we'd have to actually talk about something real. Normal is all about avoiding reality. That's what it is. You ever go to a barbecue with the normal people? That's a whole festival of conformity. You got the same food every time. Hot dogs, hamburgers, potato salad, corn on the cob. Maybe someone gets crazy and brings baked beans. Everyone stands around. paper plates collapsing in the wind, pretending this is the highlight of their summer. And the conversation is just a highlight reel of cliches. Man, these mosquitoes are relentless. Can you believe how fast the kids are growing? Oh boy, I need another beer. And this is what passes for bonding. This is what they call a community. It's like a play that's been running for 200 years. And nobody remembers why the hell they're still watching it. And holidays. Oh, holidays are the Super Bowl of normal. That's when everybody breaks out the costume of tradition and acts like it's sacred. Thanksgiving? Everyone sits around a table pretending to be thankful while silently judging Aunt Linda's casserole. Christmas? Everyone goes broke buying garbage nobody asked for, just so they can pretend to be surprised when they unwrap it. Oh, wow, socks. How did you know? Because you're normal and you only ever buy socks for people. And then New Year's, where everybody gathers around, watches a ball drop, kisses someone they don't even like that much, and says, "This year will be different." Spoiler alert, it won't. What's really funny is how people enforce normality on each other. If you step out of line, if you don't play along, they get nervous. You ever been in a room where everyone's watching the big game and you say, "I don't really like sports"? Oh, you think you just confessed to strangling Santa Claus. They look at you like you've broken some sacred code. What do you mean you don't like sports? Everybody likes sports. Everybody pretends to like sports because that's what's normal. The second you say otherwise, the system crashes. It's like pulling the plug on a jukebox. Suddenly everyone's panicked because you're not sticking to the script. And the script goes even deeper. You're supposed to dress normal, eat normal, think normal. There's a whole fashion industry dedicated to convincing you that this year's normal is different from last year's normal. But don't worry, it'll be back in style again in 20 years. You're supposed to eat the food everybody else eats, even if it makes no sense. Remember Jell-O salads? Who decided putting vegetables inside gelatin was a normal dish? Somebody actually did that, and everyone nodded. Yes, that's perfectly fine. And normal people sat down at a table, looked at a green wobbly lump with celery floating inside, and said, "Delicious," just like Grandma used to make. That's not food, that's a science experiment gone wrong. Normal also means pretending you're okay when you're not. Ask a normal person how they're doing and they'll always say, "Oh, fine." Always. You could see them limping, bleeding, hair on fire, and they'd still say, "Oh, fine, I'm fine," because admitting otherwise would make them abnormal. You're not supposed to be honest. You're supposed to be fine. Fine is the national anthem of normal people. And you know why this whole normal thing is such a scam? Because the people who brag the most about being normal are usually the ones with the weirdest little secrets. The guy mowing his lawn every Saturday with military precision, smiling and waving at the neighbors? He's the one with 3 garden gnomes in his basement wearing lipstick. The lady bragging about her Tom eatings and bake sales? She's the one who's secretly hoarding porcelain cats in her attic. Everybody's got some freak in them. They just work overtime to hide it under the trench coat of a normal. That's the myth of normality. Nobody is actually normal. They're just really good at pretending. They follow the script, they wear the costume, they repeat the lines, and they call it a life. But deep down, they're all just as weird, scared, and confused as the rest of us. The only difference is some people admit it, and some people hide it under beige wallpaper and small talk. So the next time somebody tells you they're just a normal person, you look at them and smile because you know the truth. There's no such thing as normal. There never was. You ever notice that the funniest people in the world don't even know they're funny? They're not on stage. They're not telling jokes. They're just living their lives and calling it a normal. That's the best part. They think they're serious. They think they're sane. They think they're respectable. But every time they open their mouths or try to act like they've got it all figured out, it's comedy gold. You don't need to buy a ticket to the circus. The circus comes to you. It's called a normal behavior. Take mornings, for example. Mornings are hilarious. Look at the way people drag themselves out of bed, groaning like zombies, slapping that alarm clock had personally insulted their mother. Then they stumble into the bathroom, staring at themselves in the mirror with that look that says, "Who the hell is this?" That's comedy. People don't realize how funny they are when they're trying to look alive before coffee. Coffee? That's another joke. People act like coffee is some holy sacrament. They clutch their little mugs like life support systems, and if they don't get it, they turn into rabid raccoons. Imagine explaining coffee to a child. A daddy can't be nice until he drinks this bitter brown bean water. That's not normal. That's stand-up material, and the way people eat breakfast. You got grown adults shoveling sugary cereal into their mouths with cartoon mascots grinning up at them from the box. A tiger, a toucan, a leprechaun. These are the elders of breakfast. The council of cereal, and people don't blink. They'll pour a bowl of neon-colored marshmallows and call it a part of a balanced breakfast. Balanced how? Balanced between diabetes and cavities. That's not fuel for the day. That's dessert with a time slot. But it's normal, so everybody laughs it off. And you don't even need to write the joke. They're doing it themselves. Driving is another masterpiece of accidental comedy. Put people in cars and they lose their minds. The nicest little suburban mom who says a bless you when you sneeze turns into a demon behind the wheel. She's screaming at strangers, flipping people off, honking like she's conducting an orchestra. And every single driver thinks the same thing. Everyone else is an idiot but me. I'm a great driver. That's the joke. A highway full of self-proclaimed great drivers cutting each other off, swerving, tailgating, and then blaming everyone else. If that's not comedy, I don't know what is. And then people get to work. Oh, work is a sitcom all by itself. You got bosses who strut around pretending to be important because their name is on a door. They love saying things like, well, my door is always open. Yeah, except when it's closed. Or better yet, the people who send emails from 10 feet away. That's normal. Instead of walking across the room, they'll type, per my last email. Like they're running the United Nations. And the language in those emails, my God. Nobody talks like that in real life. Please advise. Please advise? What are you, a telegram? Just say what you mean, but do the thing I don't want to do. In the meetings, you could film a meeting and play it in a comedy club and people would die laughing. Everyone pretending to be serious, nodding, jotting down notes like they're solving world hunger, while the big revelation is, let's push the deadline back a week. That's a punchline. That's the whole thing. And people call this normal. Normal. Shopping is another comedy routine. Go to a supermarket and just watch people. They'll stand there in front of the cereal aisle, paralyzed. Hundreds of boxes, all the same, and they're sweating like they're choosing a life partner. Should I get flakes with raisins, flakes with almonds, or flakes with raisins and almonds? Meanwhile, their kid is lying on the floor screaming because he wants the box with the cartoon dinosaur. That's a comedy skit right there. Nobody rehearsed it, nobody planned it, but it's better than anything on television. And speaking of kids, kids are hilarious. But the comedy gold is the way parents act around them. Parents will say the dumbest things and think they're geniuses. Because I said so. That's their big trump card. They act like it's some profound argument, but really it means I've run out of logic and I'm hoping you'll shut up. And then they'll tell kids not to lie. But every holiday they lie straight to their faces. A fat man in a red suit is coming down the chimney to bring you toys. Oh, really? The kid grows up, realizes it was a scam, and then repeats the same scam on his own kids. That's what passes for normal parenting. If that isn't comedy, nothing is. Relationships are another endless laugh track. Couples fight over the dumbest things in the world. Oh, why didn't you put the cap on the toothpaste? Oh, why do you always leave socks on the floor? It's like an improv show where the props are laundry and kitchenware. And then they'll go to dinner with other couples and pretend everything's perfect. They'll sit there smiling, holding hands under the table, while 3 hours ago they were screaming about whose turn it was to unload the dishwasher. That's normal. That's love. It's a sitcom that runs for decades, vacations too. Vacations are the funniest scam in existence. People work all year to take a break from their normal madness, then spend thousands of dollars to fly somewhere crowded with other people trying to escape their normal madness. They stand in line for hours to see a landmark, take a picture, and then immediately leave. There it is, kids, the Grand Canyon, and smile for the camera. Okay, back in the car. They spend half the trip arguing about directions, the other half complaining about prices, and then they come home more exhausted than when they left. But they call it a great time. That's the joke. The whole vacation was misery, but when they tell the story later, it's all laughter and memories. Comedy. And holidays. Oh, holidays are like seasonal stand-up specials. Halloween? Adults dress up in costumes and pretend they're doing it for the kids. Meanwhile, half of them are drunk in a Spider-Man suit. Thanksgiving? A room full of people forcing small talk, pretending to be grateful while silently hating each other's stuffing. Christmas? The comedy is people going broke to buy junk, wrapping it up, pretending to be surprised, then fighting with the family over who sat in whose chair. And then New Year's, where everyone makes resolutions they'll abandon in a week. That's not normal. That's slapstick with a calendar. Even the little things in daily life are pure comedy. Watch someone try to find their keys in the morning. They check the same spot 5 times, getting angrier each time until they finally find them in the refrigerator. Or watch someone talk to their dog. Grown adults, baby talking an animal. Who's a good boy? Who's mommy's whittle baby? That's normal. People think they're serious, but from the outside, it's a comedy sketch. And the dog doesn't understand a damn word of it. He's just thinking, feed me or I'll chew your shoes. And don't even get me started on hobbies. Normal hobbies are ridiculous. Collecting stamps? You're hoarding pictures of mail. Gardening? You spend all summer fighting bugs and weeds so you can eat a tomato that costs $12 in sweat equity. Golf, that's the best one. A game where you walk around a giant lawn in ugly pants, chasing a tiny ball, getting furious the whole time, and then calling it a relaxing. That's not relaxing. That's self-inflicted torment with a membership fee. But because a million other people are doing it, it's normal. And because it's normal, it's funny. And when people try to look dignified, that's when the comedy really peaks. You ever see somebody trip on the sidewalk and then immediately pretend it didn't happen? They pop back up, smooth their shirt, and strut like, I meant to do that. That's hilarious. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows you almost ate pavement. But because dignity must be preserved, they act like it was part of the routine. That's human comedy right there. The desperation to look normal while being anything but. That's the whole point. What passes for normal is actually the funniest material in existence. People are constantly trying to look sane, respectable, serious. And in the process, they do the silliest, strangest things you could imagine. And they don't even notice. They're their own punchlines. All you have to do is watch. Wait for kid. So if you want to laugh, don't wait for a comedian. Just step outside, look around, and watch normal people being normal. It's the greatest comedy show on earth, and it never closes. You know what's really funny about this whole normal thing? It's not that it makes sense. It's that it doesn't make sense at all. But when enough people believe in the same nonsense, it magically becomes reality. That's the trick. That's the scam. You take one person talking to themselves on a street corner, screaming about invisible people in the sky. Everyone points and says, look at that lunatic. But you get 1 million people to dress up on Sunday and sing songs to the same invisible people. Suddenly, it's a community. That's all it takes. Scale, you don't need truth, you just need numbers. If enough people are crazy in the same direction, we stop calling it crazy and start calling it culture. That's what normal is. A mass hallucination. A shared fever dream. It's groupthink dressed up in khakis, and the best part. People don't just believe in it, they enforce it. They police it. They keep each other in line. One person steps out and the rest of the herd drags them back. It's like crabs in a bucket. You don't even need a lid because every crab is too busy pulling the other ones back down. Humans call it e-society. Gee, same thing. Look at how people behave at work. A job is one of the most insane things humans ever invented. You take a person, you give them a little chair, you put them in a box with fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees, and then you tell them, sit here for 8 hours a day and pretend to care about things that don't matter. That's madness. But because everyone else is doing it, we all nod and say, yes, that's what responsible adults do. Responsible? You're responsible for what exactly? Filing papers into another box? Typing numbers into a screen so someone in a suit can buy a bigger yacht? If aliens showed up tomorrow and you tried to explain the concept of a middle management to them, they'd burn the dictionary and fly home. They'd say, these people are sick. Let's get out of here before it spreads. And meetings. Meetings are the Olympic Games of collective madness. 10 people sitting in a room for an hour, talking in circles about problems nobody intends to solve. Everyone nodding, taking notes, saying things like, let's circle back on that, as if circling back has ever solved a damn thing. Then at the end, they all say, a great meeting. Great meeting. Nothing happened. You sat there wasting oxygen together. That's what you did. One person doing that alone in a room would be considered insane. 10 people doing it together with coffee and donuts is a corporate culture. And money. Don't even get me started on money. Money is the king of collective madness. It's paper. Just paper with pictures of dead guys on it. Or even better, numbers in a computer. But people live their entire lives worshiping it, chasing it, crying over it, killing themselves working for it. Imagine explaining money to a caveman. You hand him a little piece of green paper and say, this is worth a cow. He'd laugh in your face, shove the paper in his mouth, and walk off with the cow. Because the cow is real. The paper is nothing, but because everyone agrees the paper is magic, we all nod along like hypnotized chickens. That's normal. And speaking of chickens, look at food. Food is a great example of collective insanity. Humans are the only creatures who take perfectly good food and process it until it looks like a building material. You ever see a meatloaf? It's not meat, it's not a loaf. It's some Frankenstein experiment in the middle, and everyone eats it with ketchup like that, makes it okay. Or Spam. What the hell is Spam? Nobody knows. But people buy it, eat it, call it normal. And the commercials try to make it seem wholesome, the Spam part of a balanced breakfast. Balanced how? Balanced between poison and regret? But here's the real kicker. People don't even taste half of what they eat. They eat because that's what everyone else is eating. It's habit, it's group ritual. They go to the diner, order the same thing every time, sit in the same booth, talk about the same nothing, and call it tradition. That's not tradition, that's insanity on autopilot. And sports. Oh, sports. That's where collective madness really shines. You get 50,000 people to gather in one giant building, screaming their lungs out for strangers in matching shirts, chasing a ball around. People crying when their team loses, throwing beer, getting into fights, like their personal dignity depends on whether some guy with tight pants can run faster than another guy in tight pants. It's insanity. One person sitting in their living room, painting their face 2 colors, screaming at the wall, you'd call that person unstable. 50,000 people doing it together? Normal. A good fans. They even have parades for it. That's right, you lose a game, it's tragedy. You win a game, we're shutting down the streets and throwing confetti like we cured polio. And politics? Don't worry, I'll keep it light. But that's another circus of collective madness. Half the people wear one color, half wear another, and they scream at each other like their lives depend on it. They shout slogans, they hold signs, they chant, they foam at the mouth. And here's the punchline, no matter who wins, you still go to work on Monday. But during the campaign, people act like the apocalypse is riding on whether Jim Bob or Larry Lou gets the fancy desk. That's mass hysteria. It's no different from cavemen arguing about which cave painting is better. Except the cavemen were probably happier because they didn't have a mortgage. And let's not forget fashion. Every generation has its uniform of madness. Bell-bottoms, mullets, shoulder pads. People wore these things proudly because everyone else was wearing them. You look back at pictures from 20 years ago and think, what the hell was I doing dressed like a rejected circus clown? But at the time, it felt normal. Why? Because millions of other people were walking around looking equally ridiculous. That's all it takes. A crowd. Even the way people decorate their homes is part of the group madness. You go into any suburban neighborhood, every house looks the same. Same shutters, same lawn ornaments, same American flag, same little garden gnome peeking out from the bushes. It's like Stepford. But the homeowners will fight you to the death if you suggest it looks identical to the house next door. Oh, no, ours is unique. We've got the beige siding. They've got the top siding. Top, that's just beige with a college degree. And they'll beam with pride about their individuality while living in a house cloned from a catalog. And the rituals don't stop there. Look at weddings. Weddings are a festival of mass insanity. Two people stand up, wear outfits they'll never wear again, say words they don't really understand, sign a paper, and then everybody eats overpriced chicken. And the bride is supposed to cry, the groom is supposed to sweat, the parents are supposed to look proud, and everyone else is supposed to get drunk and dance badly to Iggy. That's what makes it a normal. You ever notice the same people who will tell you a marriage is sacred are the same ones betting on how long it'll last? That's not normal. That's a Vegas sideshow with cake. And funerals are another one. People gather around, dressed in black, pretending they're devastated when half the time they didn't even like the person. They whisper about the will, they compare casseroles, and they nod solemnly like it's all very dignified. One person talking to a corpse in a box would be madness. 200 people doing it together is a paying respects. That's what it comes down to. Humans are herd animals who dress their madness in ceremony. They invent rituals, they repeat them endlessly. And because everyone else is doing it, they stop calling it crazy and start calling it tradition. You ever think about birthdays? Every year you get older. And to celebrate, people set fire to food and sing at you. That's what a birthday party is, fire and noise. One person doing it would be a lunatic. A group doing it is a happy birthday. So the truth is, a normal doesn't exist. It's just collective madness with good marketing. People are strange, habits are strange, rituals are strange, but the second you slap the word normal on it, everyone relaxes. And that's the joke. We're all nuts. Just some of us are better at hiding it in a crowd. So remember this. If everybody around you is acting crazy, don't assume you're the weird one. Chances are you're just the only sane person in the asylum.